Here we are. I am 9 months postpartum, feeling so weird about it. Very successful antiquing day yesterday. A few things in my life that I'm just loving right now. Now the big question, do I think the Oura ring is worth it? I was like, for sure we still have another baby after this, and I feel like I wasn't mentally in the headspace of like accepting her as my last baby because I didn't believe that she was. For the first time, I don't know anymore. Hello you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to this days in the life vlog. I just finished trudging through the snow to get to our car. It has been like Narnia where we live for weeks now. I think this is actually the first day in probably 2 weeks that I haven't seen snow coming down from the sky. I think it's very pretty, but the older that my kids get and the more that I just wish that I could take them outside a little bit more easily, the more that I'm just kind of itching for spring. I am convinced that there is a certain time frame with young kids that it is the hardest to get them outside in the winter, and it is between the ages of like 1.5 to 3.5 where your kids for the most part are not fully confident in getting all of their winter gear on. My daughter who's 3.5 is just kind of graduating from this where she's now fully capable of getting everything on by herself, but for the other one it's like you've got to help them with every article of clothing, and while they're outside in that time frame I find that they'll be excited to play in the snow or in the cold weather for like a few minutes, but then they just want to go back inside and you got to take all of it back off again. So we have just been in the thick of that for weeks now, and we've still got some weeks to go. We are holding on. I know that it's not forever. This is just the life of a Canadian. Today is a Friday and my husband is home. Our kids are just about to go down for their naps now, so Rosie and I are bundled up and we are going to head out to an antique store because I got a gift card for Christmas and I am on the hunt for a few new art pieces for above our couch and above our fireplace, so I'm gonna take you guys with me.
I'll send the signal flare if everything goes right. Just sleep and dream.
Okay you guys, I am reporting back after what was a very successful antiquing day yesterday. I still don't have like a small vlogging camera yet. I'm bringing like my full kit set up with me when I go, and between like my camera being so bulky to pull out every 5 seconds and having Rosie there with me, it was just way too crazy to like actually have my camera out too much, but it was so good and I'm just so excited because I feel like I've gone antiquing a lot in the last like 3 or 4 months and I've seen like a couple of good things, but usually a lot of them out of my price range, and yesterday it was just like everything aligned. There were so many good things, a lot of them actually quite affordable, and I'm just so excited about everything that I picked up. I'm gonna do a little antique haul and show you what I grabbed. So first thing is this mirror here. I thought that this was so beautiful and I loved the shape of it. I thought that the little gold molding around the side was so beautiful. I was also so stoked because I was expecting this to be a lot more expensive than it was, but it was only $25. And then moving down here, I got this really pretty ballerina frame for the kids' room. Right now I actually have my 2-year-old boy and my 3-year-old daughter in the same bedroom, but the intention long term is for that room to be a girl's room for our baby girl and my 3-year-old, and she is obsessed with ballerinas, so I thought that this was like the perfect piece either to put over the crib in there or over on the wall by her dollhouse, but I grabbed this and it was only $12. I also picked up this antique copper pan. I'm actually collecting a bunch of different little copper pieces for a rack that I'm doing in our kitchen. So I'm gonna install like a little metal bar under the cupboard in our kitchen and then just have a couple of different copper pieces kind of hanging down off of it to give our kitchen a little bit more character. So I was super excited to find that. I found this beautiful print kind of hiding behind a bunch of stuff in another one of my favorite vendors' booths, and it's a little bit warped so it doesn't lay entirely flat right now. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I want to figure out if there's a way that we can get it to just like lay a little bit nicer because the print is so stunning. It's one of those visuals that I was just like immediately drawn to when I saw it and honestly like gasped. And then I saw the price and I was like, that for sure is coming home with me, even if it is a little bit warped, because I think that there is something that we can do about that. This is not an original painting. It is a reproduction that looks like it was on some sort of board, but but it's very, very old, obviously, as you can tell, and it's somewhere in the States, but I just thought that the picture was so beautiful. Loved the colors on it. I loved that more like a muted kind of moody vibe when it comes to art pieces. And last but not least, we have this beautiful piece that I was so excited to find. Once again, this is one of those things that I just like gasped when I saw it. I find that that's how I have to look for art these days, because I can get so intimidated by choosing art, especially if it's a bigger piece and it's something that's going to be on your wall for a long time. I can just get so in my head about whether or not I'm gonna like it in like 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. So I'm kind of just going with my gut now and going with the things that I feel just very visually drawn to right away. But this one is an original oil on canvas painting, over 100 years old, made in Canada. I thought that the picture was so stunning. And honestly, another huge piece of it for me was the frame as well. I really love the gold ornate frames, but some of them can be really aggressive. Some of them can also have matting, which is not my favorite. Some of the colors on them can be like a little bit too yellowy or too orangey. And so once again, it has taken me so long to find something that I'm just excited about on all fronts. And I feel like this was really finally that for me. This one I will say was a little bit more of a splurge, although it was still less than I was expecting to pay for a piece so large. Pretty sure this is going to go behind our couch because I've wanted to replace the little IKEA frames that we have back there with something that has a little bit more character for a while now. And this one I'm not 100% sure yet. If we could fix it up, I would even put that above our fireplace. But I am so excited about all these finds. It was a very successful day.
Just sleep and dream while riding on the wave of light. Everything's changed, buried under graves, huddled on the runway, waiting for the night to fly away.
On today's episode, I am currently craving spring so hard right now. It feels like negative 28 degrees Celsius outside. And for those of you that track your weather in Fahrenheit, that is like negative, I believe, 18 Fahrenheit. And so it is freezing cold here. We have really been just hunkered down for the last week or so, in and out of colds for everyone in our house. And yesterday I was just like, I just need something that feels nice and springy and just adds a little bit of sunshine to our day. So I made this really, really good, soft, moist lemon cake. I'll put the recipe that I used in the description box. I did tweak it a little bit, but for the most part, it's still the same. So I am going to enjoy a nice afternoon slice of cake right now, because what else do you do when it is negative 28 outside? I wanted to sit down and update you guys on a few things in my life that I'm just loving right now, whether it is habits, whether it is products, just kind of across the board. As you guys know, I recently got an Oura ring. Actually, I don't know if you guys know that. I think maybe the people on my Instagram would know that, but I have not updated about this at all yet since I got it. It was such an ordeal because here in Canada, our like biggest postal service basically went on strike for months, and it just so happened that my Oura ring was sent and then they went on strike. So this ring was held hostage for like 8 weeks, and I wasn't able to get it until recently. So even though I told you guys I was getting this like forever back, I've just started wearing it within like the last 2 weeks or so. And I wanted to update you guys on my experience with it, especially from the angle of like fertility tracking, because I've gotten a lot of questions about that. And then I also just have a bunch of other things that I have really been enjoying this January. Some of them are so random, but I thought it would be fun to just sit down and kind of share a recap of things that I'm really enjoying. So first of all, the Oura ring, my thoughts on it. I will start by saying that I did invest some money into this, although I did not pay full price. Basically, the cost of an Oura ring in Canada is about $700. So these things are not cheap. I have an amazing manager who was able to pull some strings for me, basically to get it at a discounted rate. It ended up being like $300 in total for the ring, which is still expensive, but significantly less expensive, especially if you are a Canadian looking to get an Oura ring. I got a size 7 in the Gen 4, and I believe this is in brushed gold. I did try it on at a store in person first before I knew like what size to get, so definitely do that. So I would highly recommend that because you really do need it to fit your finger properly if you want it to track properly. First impressions, the very first time I put it on were like, holy cow, this thing is huge in comparison to the other jewelry that I wear and have worn in my life. If you are used to wearing the daintier jewelry, it might be a little bit of a shock for you. Even since the first time I put it on, I've adjusted so much to not only the look of it, but also the feel of it on my hand. It's not like uncomfortable. It doesn't bother me when I'm sleeping. I'm really used to the fact that it is just like a part of my body now. It will start tracking things immediately once you start wearing it. So it can track your temperature, your sleep, your heart rate. It does take a full week though to start tracking things like stress and then paying attention to different patterns and things like that in your day. And I would say that the things that have been the most helpful and interesting for me in terms of what it can track are sleep, stress, and then obviously temperature as well from like a fertility perspective. The fertility perspective is the reason why I got it. I think that it is just so nice that for me can be on autopilot a little bit now. Obviously there are still things that I pay attention to on a monthly basis to know if I'm in a fertile window or not, and those things are just very second nature to me now. The thing that is not second nature to me is remembering every single morning to do the temperature before I've spoken, before I've gotten up in the night with my kids, before I've had a drink of water. There would be days that I would just accidentally miss the mark on when I was supposed to take my temperature. And when you're doing the fertility awareness method, there's not a whole lot of room to get that temperature wrong because your temperature is a very important parameter in tracking your fertile windows. So being able to just have that happen automatically now, and I've linked it with the Natural Cycles app. So all of that data just gets populated in there, and all I have to do is open the app and it will tell me whether it is a red day or a green day. And for me, that is just like so much peace of mind. It really has simplified it like so much more. For the first time in a long time, I actually feel like I have a lot of freedom when it comes to planning our family and being able to make a little bit more decisions in that regard. Now, the big question, do I think the Oura ring is worth it? The answer to that, I think honestly, depends on how much you're paying for it. If you are paying in Canada, it's going to be a lot more expensive than it is in America. And I know that there are a lot of companies that will actually offer discounts towards wearable technology like this. So if you can leverage that, definitely do it. And I think the biggest thing that would make it worth it in my perspective is if you plan on using it for fertility. Wow. For you to be able to just rely on this and know that it's a natural way to do it is so worth it in my opinion. If you are planning on getting it from the perspective of like sleep or stress management and things like that, I wouldn't say that it's worth it, especially because there are other cheaper tools that can do that. But the other thing for me with that kind of measurement of stuff is like, I can tell you when I didn't sleep well at night. I don't need a ring to confirm that. I can usually wake up and be like, the baby was up and I was up with the baby. And also like, I know when I'm stressed, when I'm making dinner, I maybe didn't realize like how much of the day I was hitting that point of like stress in my body. But for the most part, I think like as humans, we are pretty self-aware of like sleep being low and stress being high, and you don't really need to pay a lot of money on a fancy ring to tell you that. So from that perspective, I would say probably not worth it, but from the perspective of fertility tracking, definitely has been worth it for us. Poor baby has a cold and just wants to sleep. But anyway, that is my current review on my experience with the Oura ring being like 2 weeks into it. I will continue to update you if my opinions change or my experience changes in any way, but that's kind of where things are at right now. For the other things on my list, I'm not going to talk about them as long. I just thought that I would give you guys a more in-depth look at how I was feeling about Oura. But the next thing that I have been really loving and just enjoying lately is wearing color. I understand I'm wearing gray right now. I'm not wearing color. I have worn neutral clothing for years and years. I think that I have just gotten so comfortable in that and feeling like that's what looks best on me, that's what I'm drawn to, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Recently, I have been feeling a lot more bold with color, and it honestly all unlocked for me early in 2024 when I was very, very pregnant with Rosie, and there was this red dress that I saw in a store with polka dots, and I was like, that dress would look so cute on someone, probably not me, and I'm too pregnant to wear it, but like maybe I'll try it on after I have her. Fast forward to having Rosie last summer, I go back to that store and the dress is there and it's on clearance. And at this point, I'm postpartum, so it's an opportunity for me to actually try that dress. I tried it. My husband loved it on me. He's like, you look so good in red. All my family is like hyping me up. So I was like, okay. I bought the dress and then started introducing red to my wardrobe. So I was like, all right, I thrifted a red sweater then. I ended up getting a red sweater for Christmas this year. I have have never been complimented more in my life than when I am wearing the color red. And all of a sudden it just like unlocked something in my brain where it was like, you don't have to wear only neutral colors. Like there are so many other colors out there that could look good on you, but you've just like completely closed yourself off from them. So all of this to say, I am going to make 2025 my year of being a little bit more experimental when it comes to the colors that I wear. And this is me sharing that so I can hold myself accountable. You are still gonna see a lot of neutrals on me, but I do want to inch myself a little bit further into the world of color this year. Next thing that we are loving is foil crafting. This is a household love. This is not me personally, although I do really enjoy it. My 3-year-old received this little foil crafting kit for Christmas this year, and it has been the source of so many quiet hours of independent play in her room, connection time with her and I where we've sat down and done it together. And basically it comes with these little picture canvases here, and this kit specifically has like unicorns and rainbows and all that type of stuff that my daughter personally loves. It also comes with these little foil sheets, which is what you use to do the craft. Okay, here's one of the foam stickers, and as you can see, you can peel off like different layers so you don't get the full thing at once, but it's super easy. All you do is take your little foil sheet, and it comes with so many of these. You stick it onto, oh, I did it backwards. You stick it sparkly side up. My 3-year-old is always reminding me. And then kind of just like make sure that it's really pressed on there before peeling it back, almost like if you were doing a temporary tattoo. And then when you peel it, the foil will transfer onto the sticker. I messed it up and actually literally just like ripped a chunk of it off when I stuck it the wrong way. If I hadn't done that, this whole thing would just be green, and you can basically color in all the different layers of the sticker using these mess-free foils. And then when you're done, you peel the sticker off of the back of your characters and stick them onto your canvas board. So you can kind of create different environments and stories and things like that. I'll put a link for that down in the description box because it has been such a hit in our house. Next 2 things that I have been loving are both drink related. First being my Nespresso machine that I got for Christmas from my husband. That was like my big Christmas gift this year, was the Nespresso, I believe it's called the Latissima or the Latissima. Long story short is that I had wanted a really fancy like Breville espresso machine, and the more that I looked into it, the more that I was like, I don't think that I'm actually going to do this every single day. So we weighed all of the pros and cons, because I did have a Nespresso Virtuo before and then it broke after only like a year and a half, and I wasn't like super keen on getting another Nespresso machine, but the Latissima went on a great sale and I looked at all the reviews for it. They were all great. My sister has a Latissima and loves it as well, and so I was like, you know what, froth the milk right here. It looks beautiful, it's gonna make good coffee, and it does. I have loved it so far. If anything, the hardest thing has been getting myself to stick to 1 coffee a day, and the next thing that I have been loving does help me out with that quite a bit because it's AG1. I have to tell you guys, I was so skeptical about it when I first started it because I had seen so many people online talk about it, and I was like, how good can this actually be? I have to say it is great. My husband and I both love it so much. It is something that is a part of both of our daily routines right now, for the vitamin intake that we get from it, for the fact that it boosts energy levels more naturally, and I don't actually feel like I need to have multiple coffees a day to fuel me. The biggest reason that we love it right now is for the immune function benefits. Our kids have been in and out of sicknesses basically all winter long, and my husband and I have been fine. We've like maybe gotten a runny nose here or there, but we haven't picked up anything that our kids have had. And the only thing that we can both attribute it to is the fact that we have both been consistently taking AG1. Do with that information what you will, but if you are like sick of being sick, I would highly recommend that you try it out. I will put a discount in the description box for you guys. The next thing that I have been loving recently is going to bed early and just like laying in bed at the end of the day and reading a book, literally even just sitting there talking to my husband. This is something that feels foreign to me. I think because for a really long time, our babies were so hard to get to bed at night. It was like they weren't going to sleep until like 9 or 9:30 most nights. And by the time we would get them down and then I would do like my nightly reset of the house, I was just like getting into my bed so late and then just crashing and going right to sleep. But bedtime has been getting a little bit better and a little bit earlier over here. And recently they've been in bed and like lights out by like 7:30 or 8, and it has just left us with so much more time in the evening to actually unwind at the end of the day. So I've been taking full advantage of that, and we have instituted a new no phones in bed rule. Once we get into bed, it's like we're either reading, we're talking, or doing other things. That has been just a great change to this year so far. I have really been feeling more restored and relaxed going to bed, so highly recommend. Okay, 2 more, and the next one is the Half-Baked Harvest Quick and Cozy Cookbook. I got this from my sister-in-law for Christmas, and it is so good. I actually had a week a couple weeks back where I just meal planned our entire week using this cookbook. She's just able to take a recipe that would otherwise be really simple and then make great recommendations of what you could add to it to take that recipe to the next level. We've got 1 pot spiced chicken and dumplings, a baked chicken parm sandwich, spicy Thai chicken fried rice, creamy coconut chicken curry, all of those things that are really just like speaking to me when I'm ready to cook a meal at night. So highly recommend. The last thing that I have been loving recently is the most random of all, but I got put onto this by my husband, and it is the John Mayer radio station. You know Jared or I well, you would know that we both love John Mayer. It was one of the first things that we bonded over when we first got together. And so recently John Mayer has kind of made this pivot in life where he has started a radio show and he streams it on Sirius XM. I'm pretty sure it's called Life with John Mayer, but right now Jared has the free trial of that station, and we're trying to decide what we do when the trial ends because the station is so good. Basically, he curates music for different times of the day. Like, what kind of music would you want to listen to in the morning, music for the afternoon, for the evening wind down time. It really has just like set the vibe in our home in such a fun way. We have enjoyed listening to it way too much, especially because I think there's like a $10 a month membership to keep your access to it once your trial is done. And that's just not something that is like smart for us to be spending on. So I don't know, I'll have to report back on whether we keep it up with Life with John Mayer, but if you're looking for a fun way to just kind of switch it up in your home, try the free month trial. It is honestly so good. Popping back into this vlog a couple of days later because I fear that I jinxed myself, and right after talking about how I had not been sick in so long, I got hit with the worst case of the norovirus. It was so brutal, and it was crazy because we don't know anyone currently that has it, like in our circle. We ended up ordering takeout on Wednesday night of last week, which was like an out of character thing, but we were like, let's do something fun, like let's have a movie night with the kids, let's order takeout. Within like 3 hours of eating the takeout, I am violently ill. So at first I was convinced that it was food poisoning because leading up to this, there was not a single other symptom that I was experiencing or anyone else in our house was experiencing. But I just started vomiting basically everything that I had in me from 9 p.m. on Wednesday night straight through to 5 a.m. on Thursday morning. I was like just absolutely wrecked by it. One of our other kids woke up in the night and started vomiting, and then it became like this domino effect of each person in our house getting it to some degree. But I feel like I'm actually like just getting my strength back again and feeling like I have energy to film and to talk to the camera. So here we are. Another thing that has happened in the last couple of days is that Rosie officially hit 9 months old, and if you know any of my story, that means that I have also now hit 9 months postpartum, which is the longest that I have ever gone postpartum without being pregnant again. I do not have an announcement to share in this video. I am not pregnant. We are not like looking to get pregnant anytime soon, or even having conversations about that happening like anytime in the near future. So it's just like a weird thing, and I wanted to live process that with you guys because I have been talking to my husband about it, and I don't have the words for it, but I just feel so weird. For the first time in the last 3 years, I don't have the next year and a half of my life kind of mapped out because I'm not expecting to carry a child throughout a pregnancy and then to have a baby and then to know very clearly like this is what the next year is going to look like. We're going to have a baby, we're going to be kind of going through that process of having the newborn and then the young baby and introducing solids and all this stuff, and I feel like I have just seen that so clearly laid out for the last 3 years of my life, and all of a sudden now it's like it's just me. Like, I'm not pregnant, I don't have a baby on the way. It's just like figuring out who I am, taking care of my body, taking care of our kids, and investing in those relationships and investing in my marriage. And I feel like so excited about that being my reality, but it is just like a weird reality to settle into when so much of your life has been marked by significant change back to back to back. It's almost like I don't even know anymore how to exist in just like the normalcy of life and the quietness of life. Not that having 3 young kids is quiet, but like just not having anything huge coming up for our family just feels very strange and unsettling in a way that I didn't expect, but also something that I feel really good about. I feel like it's very clearly what God has for us right now, to just take some breathing room, and now that we have like grown outwards in a way, really focus on growing deeper now and like building in those roots and really prioritizing my relationships with each of our kids and my marriage as well, because as much as Jared and I are great, like there is also a strain that having 3 kids in 3 years can put on a marriage in terms of the time that you get together and all of those things. So here we are. I am 9 months postpartum, feeling so weird about it, but also so good about it at the same time. And another one of the things that I didn't really expect about it was just having like such an inflection point at only 28 years old of like what the rest of my life is going to look like. Jared and I have always said that the number of kids that we want is 3 or 4, but most likely 4. And even throughout my whole pregnancy with Rosie and after having her, I was like, for sure, we still have another baby after this. And I feel like I wasn't mentally in the headspace of like accepting her as my last baby because I didn't believe that she was. And even now, I don't actually believe that she is. But more and more over the past couple of weeks, I've been thinking like, what if she was? Like, what if we did stop at 3? What would life look like if we did that? What would life look like if we did a 4th? How long do we want to wait before we have the 4th? Do we want to settle down as a family and like build those deep roots and then uproot things again, so to speak, by adding another baby? And so all of a sudden I'm just like, what is going on? But the reality is that processing all of these thoughts and trying to make plans outside of taking it all to God is so futile. At the end of the day, He is the one orchestrating all of this for our family. He very clearly orchestrated the 3 kids that we already have. Like literally my last 2 pregnancies especially, I wouldn't necessarily have chosen that timing for myself if I had been given the opportunity to sit down and kind of like waffle over everything and like agonize over, should we do it now? Should we do it later? God very clearly was just like, I have another child for you, and this is the timing that that's supposed to happen in. So now being in a season where that's not happening, I'm trying to remember that I am still not in the driver's seat of all of that, and just kind of like reflecting and taking time to pray for what God has for our family and what the next few years are going to look like, because for the first time, I don't know anymore.
This little pea woke up just in time for a 9-month baby update.
Little Rosie is 9 months old. She is still just as much a mama's girl as ever. There's something about having a baby with colic that bonds you together in a wild way, because you have already been through something like so hard together in the very beginning stages of their life. We are still very much attached at the hip in a lot of ways, although I don't need to wear her 24/7 to make it through the day. She is not crawling yet or pulling to stand, which is something that I think might, okay, well that's not necessary. And all babies have different timelines for when it comes to things like sitting, crawling, pulling to stand, walking. But part of me does kind of think that it might be colic related to a degree, just because of the fact that when your baby is in like that constant state of discomfort and not really able to do things like tummy time in the same way, needing to be held a lot or in a container a lot, I've just kind of expected that there might be a little bit of a slower progression to things just because of that. And there's not necessarily research to back that. That's just kind of like my own anecdotal experience. She is sleeping super well now, which is nice. She loves to sleep, goes to bed at like 6:30 p.m. most nights, and a lot of times will sleep until like 7:30 or 8 without any feeds in the night now, which is awesome. She's doing great with solids. I think we are on 62 foods out of the 100 foods before 1 challenge that I'm trying to do with her. I do that with all 3 of our kids. I find that it just helps so much with reducing picky eating into the toddler stage, and just helps you to get out of your comfort zone when it comes to like exposing your baby to different foods. So that has been going well. With her, we're going fully dairy free, so I need some more creative ideas on what to introduce. But that is the Rosie update. She really is such a joy. She's like a little dolly. Our kids love her so much. I'm gonna go down here. I often do have moments just like thinking back to the beginning of her life and how crazy hard that transition was, and just being so grateful that we are on the other side of it. So if you are in the thick of it with a baby with colic or reflux or just fussy in the newborn stages, this is your reminder that it does get better. You will get to the other side of it, even though in the thick of it, you're just like, is this going to be the rest of my life? It's not. And I'm sure that you are going to have a very happy, joyful baby in a few months as well too. I am going to wrap this vlog up here. About to head to the post office with Rosie because we are dropping off a maybe carrier to one of my followers on Instagram. I did a little giveaway over there a couple of weeks back, so if you are not following me yet on Instagram at Beth Grace Moore, go and do that. Giveaways are something that I'm planning to do a lot more over there, and I've just been having more fun recently posting there with like more lighthearted content as well. So go check out my Instagram page. But until my next video, thank you guys so much for being here over on YouTube. I hope that you guys are having an awesome week so far. I am praying for you. I love you, and I will see you soon.